Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the inaugural episode of Versus, the ultimate battle royale. We're going to go ahead and kick off the show today with our first showdown, which is going to be Captain America versus Batman. We're going to decide who would win in this showdown. And once again, as we said in the intro, this show is going to be hosted by me, Trey, my sister, BB, and her husband, Jeff. And how are we going to decide the victor? Well, the victor is going to be decided by our own personal opinions, and that's where we want you guys to come in. We're not saying we're right, but you know what? Why don't you play along as we're playing? So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to BB and Jeff as to who they think between this battle, Captain America or Batman, who would win.
I'll go first. I think Batman. And I think Batman because I think number one, he's strong, he's trained, and he's got a lot of different technology. And I think a combination of all of those things is going to allow him to be the winner.
I got to go opposite on this one. I got to take Captain America in it. As much as I appreciate Batman, if you just put him in there unknown, I think Captain America comes out. I think he's stronger, he's faster. He can do a lot more with what he's got, and he's on par with some of the strongest superheroes there are. Whereas Batman needs prep time. He's all gadget. He's smart, he's rich, and he's full gadgets. So if he doesn't know he's fighting Captain America, just shows up with what he's got, nothing he's got can get through Captain America's shield. So now you're just out of gear, and Batman then loses once he's out of gadgets. If you let him know ahead of time, hey, you're fighting Captain America in 2 months, he comes in and I guarantee he wipes the floor with him. He could figure out how to beat Superman. He could easily figure out how to beat Captain America, but he needs the time, I think, to manufacture. So in just a straight fight, I think Captain America takes it pretty easily. He just wears through Batman's stuff.
Yeah, I agree, Jeff. I'm with you. And I have to put my own personal bias aside because Captain America is my childhood hero, so I mean, he's like the background on my phone. So I love Captain America, but I'm trying to put that bias aside, and I agree with you. If it's like a one-on-one showdown, just no weapons, nothing, yeah, Steve Rogers is going to crush him. One because he has a super soldier serum, and he's a soldier, and so Batman. As even though he's well trained, he's not trained as like a soldier. He kind of just trained on his own. So I'm going Captain America. But if we change the situation where gadgets and everything are involved, I think it would still be a good match. But I also have to put into account personality, and so Captain America, like if we just did a full fledged battle on like anything goes, I still think Captain America would win because Batman is very much a loner, and loners can only get so much done. But Captain America, although he's not always the strongest superhero, he has the ability to bring people together as a leader and create alliances and make sure that they're a great. He always leads the team. It's just like in the Avengers, he was never the strongest superhero, but he was always able to bring everybody together, and everybody always looked to him for answers, and he always got the job done. So if it's just gadgets and no other personnel, I think Batman will win. But then if you are allowed to bring other personnel and bring teams involved, Captain America wins again. So again, it's situational dependent for me. But that's just kind of so I have kind of like a three answer: hand to hand, Batman, or excuse me, Captain America, teammates and alliances, or Captain America again. But then with just gadgets and stuff, I think Batman wins. So kind of a nuanced answer, but all right, that's up for interpretation, and you guys in the audience, what do you guys think? But with that
Did
being
you?
said, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one. So our next little battle here is actually two cartoon characters. So we have Fred Flintstone. So for those of you who don't know, Fred Flintstone's from the Flintstones, a cartoon back in the 60s, and Homer Simpson. Who do you think would win? So BB and Jeff, you guys go ahead and kick it off.
I'll go first. I love both of these characters so much. They're like just the dads, you know what I mean? But they're both stupid. So it's going to be a tough choice. But I would have to go with Fred Flintstone. I'm just picturing Fred Flintstone and Homer Simpson in the same room, like getting ready to like fight each other. And between the two, I think that Fred would have more strength in the situation, being that he's a caveman and he's still using his instincts to fight. Whereas Homer, I just picture like a monkey with cymbals in his head, and he's not really getting ready for the fight at all. He's probably having a beer, probably having a donut, and he's not going to do well in this fight.
I mean, I agree. I think Fred has more strength on his side. He works in a quarry. He's got rock pits, dinosaurs all around. But I think Homer Simpson is too dumb to lose. And so I think that's going to give it to him. Like Homer is going to show up. He works in a nuclear radiation factory, and it doesn't bother him at all. I've seen him get dropped into vats and all kinds of stuff. He's probably got some superpowers by now. And if he doesn't, he's lived through that. So what's Fred got that could actually damage Homer? Homer's going to sit there with a donut and a beer while Fred's beating on him, eventually get too tired that Homer won't go down and pass out from exhaustion. So Homer just wins by default because he doesn't even know there's a fight going on. And he's still going to win.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it. So I want to say Fred too, because Fred is a caveman. Not only that, he has to pedal his own car that's made out of rock to work. Like not an engine; it's his own feet moving that heavy, heavy car, and then he's working manual labor in the quarry. So I was leading with like Fred. Okay, Fred has like manual labor, but he really isn't that tough. Like he's always complaining about like his foot and stuff and getting stubbed in the toe. And I agree with you, Jeff. Like that's where Homer wins is his resiliency and stupidity. So I'm a big Simpsons fan. So there's one episode where Mo gets Homer to be a boxer, and it's not because Homer's good at boxing. He doesn't even box when he boxes. It's just he can take a beating the whole time, and his opponent will just give up because they get exhausted. So it's his durability. Like in one episode, he falls into like the it's like Springfield Canyon or whatever. Comes out and lives, and so he's always. It's not that he's a better fighter or he's stronger in it. It's just his ability to take a beating and just be fine. And I feel like, well, one, Homer actually isn't a bad fighter because there's been episodes where he fought George Bush in one of the episodes, and he's pretty decent fight there. And then he fights uh, Peter from Family Guy in one of the crossover episodes. So Homer actually isn't a bad fighter. So I'm going with Homer. Homer wins. So it's like I want to say Fred just because he's stronger, but I'm going with Homer on this one. So all right. That's our second one. So you guys take a minute in the audience, think about what you would pick. All right, moving on to our last one. So our last one here is going to be between Jedi Knights and Wizards. So Jedi Knights from Star Wars and Wizards from Harry Potter. So BB and Jeff, go on ahead.
All right. So I'm a little bit biased here because I love Star Wars and I love Jedis, but if I take a step back, I think personally that the Wizards are going to win. And the reason for that is not only do they have spells and tricks, but they play dirty. So I think that because of their ability to create Horcruxes and things like that, especially with the Harry Potter franchise, the Horcruxes allow them to come back to life and keep their souls alive. So I think even when you think that you've killed them, they are not actually dead. So I think that they may be able to come back. Now, this is if it's a fight that's a long-term fight and not just something like, all right, get in and fight each other and no lightsabers, no wands, nothing. I don't know who would win that. But if you're allowed to use your wand, you're allowed to use your lightsaber, I would give it to the Wizards.
In some circumstances, I would agree. I I think if you do a fight where you're not using extra weapons or abilities and things like that, the Jedi wins. If you're just going straight Jedi versus Wizard, no wand, which means Jedi has no lightsaber, Jedi wins because he can still focus his powers without the need of his lightsaber. He has inherent ability. However, once you get into the worlds of you can now bring magical items if you're a wizard, I think the sheer volume of magical items that they have access to and can use with potions, spells, defensive ability combined with offensive ability, as long as they can keep their wand, they will win. And that will be most of it is the magical items that they can use, whether it be combined with animals. The wizarding world is just so expansive that the number of magical items, while I think potentially individually the Jedi is a stronger, more trained fighter, the wizards' access to essentially enhancements, think, as we discussed today, Batman may be the worst fighter, but when you have access to more gadgets, more devices to assist you in winning, I think the edge then goes to the wizards because of the number of extremely powerful artifacts there are in that world.
That makes sense. Well, I'm going to take the opposing view from you guys, and I guess it's going to be kind of a more nuanced answer like Batman, but I'm going to say Jedi because if we went without wands, without lightsabers, just nothing, it's just two individuals looking at each other. I'm going to say a Jedi because they can manipulate time and space and telekinesis, mind reading, acute senses, heightened speed, heightened jumps. They're acrobatic, and then not only that, they have the mental fortitude as trained and instilled in them as warriors, as Jedi. So I think they would crush a wizard, no problem. Like as far as 1-to-1. Now, when we put gadgets involved, I still like if it's just wand and lightsaber, then I still think the Jedi can win because they can literally force pull the wand right out of their hands, and so they're have no weapon again. And now once we pull back, if we pull back even further with, the ability to use their broom and all this stuff, okay, now we can start throwing in, like with the Jedi, they have Jedi starfighters, they have all types of weaponry at their disposal. So I'm going to say across the board, I agree. I know they have, I have pretty good knowledge on the Harry Potter wizards, obviously they have certain spells they can do. They have certain potions that they can, develop, and then obviously like the killing curse and all that stuff, but I just don't even think they're going to get a chance to do or use any of those things because Jedis can read minds almost essentially, so they can predict their movements before they even happen. So that's my opinion, not saying it's right, but all right. So for everybody, that's going to conclude today's episode, our first episode here at Versus. But what did you guys think? Did you agree with us? Did you disagree with us? Hopefully, we'll be able to hear from you, and we appreciate you listening. And thank you, and have a great night.